So today, we're going to talk about life. We're going to experience life. To life. L'chaim. To life. When I first knew that I was going to talk on this, that was that song from Fiddler on the Roof just came to my mind. And I thought, oh, we got to do that song, L'chaim to life. And I asked Mark, I said, can you do it? He said, yeah, I know that one. And we were kind of planning to do it. And then later on, I went on the website and looked at the lyrics, and I actually saw a clip from the original movie. And, well, they're celebrating in a pub, and they're drinking a lot, and they're celebrating that the daughter has finally been married off, right? So it's a great dance sequence and great sequence together, but it wasn't really quite appropriate. So Mark's going to do another one in that place that I'm sure is equally as good. But that whole saying, L'chaim, is such a beautiful expression. It's a traditional Jewish toast to wine, with wine, and you say L'chaim, and what you're doing is you're conferring a blessing, sort of wishing an abundance of life. Wishing an abundance of life to someone is such a beautiful thought. And I think, may you have an abundance of life. An abundance of life, living life abundantly. Sounds a little familiar. Where have I heard that before? I think maybe it was another man in those days, a long time ago, growing up in the Hebrew tradition, who said, I am come that they might have life and have it more abundantly. And, it starts with I am come. And whenever I see those words, I am, in the Bible, I translate it, and you see a lot of it in John. I translate it as not Jesus saying he of himself, as his personality, but the I am consciousness that's in all of us. The I am consciousness, that divine light within us. So when we open to that I am consciousness and connect with that divine light within us, we open to the experience of an abundance of life. An abundance of life. And that can mean so many things. I mean, prosperity, yes, but it goes beyond prosperity. It really does incorporate all of the divine qualities, like well-being and joy and fulfillment and peace and love, all of those wonderful divine qualities. And when we break it down even further, and we get to the essence of life, that essence is it begins in the invisible. It expresses as the physical, yes, but it goes beyond the physical. So today we're going to learn how to open to that life essence within us, to really connect with the power of life so that we can experience more well-being, more vitality, and so that we can use that power of life to literally breathe life into our goals and our dreams and our intentions. So, yeah. Sound good? Yeah. Let's do it. All right. Charles Fillmore talks about the river of life in humankind. The river of life. He says, the river of life is within humankind in our spiritual consciousness. We come into contact with the river of life through the quickening of spirit. The quickening of spirit. I heard that quickening, and if you read, both Fillmores, they talk about this quickening of life, right? And through all of those unity classes, I kept saying, what does that mean? What is that quickening? What is that? And I never really got a definitive answer, but I'm really beginning to understand that it is awakening that power of life within us, accessing that power of life, that kind of animating force, and allowing that to flow unimpeded. Allowing it to flow unimpeded into our life. So the power of life is, this is the last in our series, the 12 Power series. Charles Fillmore, if you're new to this, really had this idea that there are energy centers in our kind of energetic bodies, kind of like the chakras, and each one represents a certain power that we have, and they're all access points to our spiritual power. And so this power of life is one of them, and it's kind of located, where you might imagine the reproductive organs, and it sort of makes sense. Yeah, it's the seat of reproduction, right? And in women, that is the start of physical life. But that's just part of the story, because we're talking about that life essence. We're talking about that one invisible essence that really is the substance. Remember a couple weeks ago we talked about what that substance is in all of matter. And if you break down the subatomic, the atom with the subatomic particles, they're discovering that the space between the particles is vast. It's 99.99% empty space. It's space, and the space gives rise to the particles. And the particles, they come and go, but the essence, the intelligence and the essence behind those particles is eternal. So that's true of all of nature. Nothing ever dies. It just changes forms, as we were talking about in class yesterday. The leaves, when they're changing, they're beautiful. They give us such beauty. They fill our lives, our eyes, with such beauty. And then they drop off, but they don't die. They change form. And so they turn into the soil, and they help to nourish the soil, which in turn nourishes the trees. So it's all one energy. So we, of our physical selves, change. Alas. We change. We come and go. But the essence behind us is eternal. The essence behind us is eternal. So it's that invisible essence that gives rise to the physical, but it's all, the essence. That's the animating force that we want to learn how to access, that we want to learn how to harness, right? The other piece about power is that it's the forward motion, the upward forward motion of life, the expansive impulse of the universe. The universe is constantly expanding. So we're talking about this expansive impulse of the universe, and it is kind of the perpetual impulse in all of us that pulls us towards growth, towards forward motion, towards expansion, towards greater experiences of life. That forward motion. And so if we don't get in the way of that natural impulse towards growth and expansion, then that will move us in the direction of a more joyous, more abundant, more expansive life. The key phrase there, what did I say? You don't get in the way. If you don't get in the way of that natural impulse, how do we get in the way of that? Oh, let me count the ways. So many. You can help me with this. If you think of something, just call it out. I'll start us off.
Fear.
Huh? Fear. Yes, absolutely. Huh? Judgment. Judgment of others, judgment of ourselves. Absolutely. What else? Resistance, yes. Oh, that's a big one. Resisting what is? Worry, yeah. So what we want to do is ask the question, where am I putting my energy? Where's my energy going to? So if it's going to worry, if it's going to judgment, if it's going to thinking small right? There's thinking small, like, oh, I'm in this box of, well, I've always done it like this. This is the way it's done. It's always been done like this. Or any of those. Another big one is resentment and lack of forgiveness. And sometimes we're not even aware of that. But it doesn't matter because it's an energy it's sucking our energy is what it's doing. It's getting in the way, and that's one of the big blockages is lack of forgiveness. So we want to ask ourselves, is there anyone in my life that I haven't been able to forgive, or myself, or just those daily resentments that build up? You know what those are? And what? Regrets. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I know. It's just we're putting our energy into these things that just kind of suck that energy out of us, suck the life out of us. So what we want to do is release all of that stuff first. All of those things that we've mentioned. Using the power of release. Remember, that was one of the powers that we had, power of elimination, of release. That is, do you have one more?
What I was going to say is all of this comes down to ego.
Yes, right. All of these things can be an expression of ego, of thinking of ourselves as separated from source. Just the small part of us, ignoring the largest part of us, which is our spiritual identity. Yeah, it kind of all comes down to that. So we need to release it, let it go. Remember the phrase that Rosemary gave us when she was talking about the power of elimination. This has no power over me. Let's say that together. This has no power over me. Ooh, good. And I like to just breathe it out and let it, like physically, let all that go. And then when we let that go, suddenly, we're open. We have pulled our energy from that stuff that was, keeping us trapped in that. And now we're putting it into something that's life-giving. Something that is life-affirming. Our true spiritual self. And now we become open to that flow of life, to that natural impulse of the divine, which moves us towards, joyous, abundant living, from glory to greater glory. Really. That's that energy. So releasing the stuff that's sucking the energy and refocusing to that power center of life within us. So the power of life also is a power that sustains our efforts. So this is kind of how it's different than the power of zeal. Remember I talked about the power of zeal a couple weeks ago. And you may be thinking, well, what's the difference? Zeal, life, it's all the same thing. And actually here's the difference. Is that zeal is that power that's that initial impetus. It's that excited energy that we're going to start something new, a new project, a new way of being, some positive change that we're going to make, and that energy feels real good, and it moves us. We need that. It moves us to start something, but it doesn't sustain us. So when growth and expansion and some very worthwhile projects, we're in it for the long haul, right? So that's that. We need the power of life. Life is the power that sustains us. It also helps us deal with obstacles that come into our path. Obstacles do come into our path. They just do. So the power of life is that power that can help sustain our original intention and see it through to the end. And a good analogy of this is like a rocket, like a rocket into outer space. So, the energy that it takes to lift a rocket off of the launch pad, defying gravity, all that weight defying gravity, that first stage of that rocket, that's what the power of zeal is. And so it lifts us off of the launching pad, But very soon after that, that first stage rocket is jettisoned, right? And then you got the second and third stage rockets that really put it into orbit and direct it and sustain it. Well, that's what the power of life is. It's the second and third stage rockets. So we can think of it that way. Yeah. Again, Fillmore says, the life source is spiritual energy. It is deeper and finer than electricity or human magnetism. It was great he talks about human magnetism as an energy. It is composed of ideas, and we can turn on its current by making mental union with it. We can turn on its current by making mental union with it. So we can use this spiritual energy to literally breathe life into our projects, into our goals, into our intentions. To breathe life, and it is that life energy that sustains that until it's realized. You see? This is the energy. So how do we do that? How do we do that? How do we turn on that current? Well, the current is already in us, right? The life energy is already there. And we have been taking that energy and dispersing it with all this ego stuff, all this stuff out here that was really zapping our energy, right? And now we've pulled it back, and we refocused it. Now we've refocused it on that power of life. And we can visualize and imagine that life power center, the energy of that, emanating from that center and vibrating within our being, and just that power of life. And it's also prana, that pranic breath. Excuse me. We can do that. That deep, consistent breathing. Do that with me. This just continuous deep breathing. That's sort of that pranic life force energy. And you do that for a while, and suddenly you feel like you're vibrating with, you're vibrating with energy. You get that feeling that you're vibrating with energy. Well, that's the energy. That's how we sort of generate it. We're not creating the energy. We're not creating what's not already there. It's already there. It's just that we've pulled our awareness away from what was draining it into the life-giving energy, and we're helping it along by, that breath and our intention. Also, we can remember that we are one with the whole, with the original creative life essence that gave birth to this entire universe, holds everything in its perfect orbit. That same life energy, intelligent life energy, is within you. It's within you, and you mirror that process when you breathe forth that life essence into whatever it is you're creating. You mirror that process when you breathe forth that life energy into whatever it is you're creating. That's literally co-creating with the universe. You're co-creating with the universe. And so then your projects, your endeavors carries that energy of the divine. Our endeavors carry the energy of the divine. Let's say that together. My endeavors carry the energy of the divine. Feel that. Feel that. That's how you do it. That's the secret to manifesting. That's it. That's the secret. We've taken our energy away from all that stuff that was draining us. We put it back in here where it belongs, connecting with that life force within us, that animating force through our intentions, So we set our intentions. We breathe forth that divine life energy into those intentions, and it carries it until it's realized. That's how we do it. That's how we do it. That's that animating force. That's how we access that animating force. And we can also use this same process to enliven our physical bodies. So if you're feeling tired or under the weather a little bit, you can kind of use this to add more energy and life vitality into your body. So it's that, again, it's sort of generating that energy, breathing that deep pranic breath, and visualizing that life essence emanating from that life center and into every cell, organ, and function of your body. Awakening the vitality that's in there. That divine vitality, that's our capacity to thrive. Vitality is our capacity to thrive. And so we awaken to that. And you can do a visualization where you feel this energy, this divine vitality pouring into every cell of your body. And breathing it in, like every part of your body is bathed by this divine life essence, this vitality, this energy of wholeness. It's an energy of wholeness. And it's a good thing to do, if you're starting to feel something come on or you're feeling tired, just kind of lay down or maybe sit down and do some slow, deep breathing and visualize this. Begin to really feel that energy till you can really feel it. Again, you're not creating anything. It's not like magic. It's the energy that's already there. We're just amplifying it and allowing it to flow unimpeded, because we don't have that stuff in the way anymore. It's flowing unimpeded. Unimpeded. The other part about the life, that power of life, as Reverend Rosemary mentioned it in the meditation, is that about the rhythm and flow of life. It's the rhythm and flow of life that we see all around us in nature. The change of seasons, the ebb and flow of the tide, how day gives way to night, night gives way to day. It's also mirrored in our breathing. That's how we connect with that natural rhythm of life. And so there's a beautiful yoga sutra that I would love to read for you right now. And it works on this breath. So if you would, again, get comfortable in your chairs and maybe close your eyes and feel, just sort of connect with that heart center. Again, the way of experience begins with the breath, such as the breath you are breathing now. The breath flows in, and just before it turns to flow out, there is a flash of pure joy. Life is renewed. Awaken to that. As the breath is released and flows out, there is a pulse as it turns to flow in. In that turn, you are empty. Enter that emptiness as the source of all life. Radiant one, the essence of life carries on its play through the pulsing rhythm of outward and inward movements. This is a ceaseless wave, the rhythm of life. Their experience opens into an exquisite vastness with no beginning and no end. Embrace that infinity without reservation. Dive into it. Drink deeply of it. and emerge renewed. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. All right, begin to bring your awareness back. Feel good connecting with that rhythm of life. That's how we get into alignment with that power of life energy. So be conscious of how you're moving with the rhythm of life. That natural rhythm between activity and rest, between doingness and beingness, between talking and listening, between just kind of going full force with your efforts and then retreating. There is that rhythm of life that is part of the wisdom of the universe. And when we move with that, we open into wholeness. That's the wholeness begins to manifest in our bodies. So this week, dive into that life energy. Drink deeply of it. Swim in it. And emerge renewed. Namaste.